Welcome back to Galaxy Recaps. Today we'll be diving into an action thriller film titled SWAT. Enjoy the recap. Our story begins in the heart of Los Angeles. Several police officers are caught in a fierce shootout with 4 bank robbers in Lincoln Heights. Inside the bank, 2 of the robbers are watching over the hostages, while the other 2, wearing full body armor and wielding powerful rifles, are outside combating the police. Luckily, a SWAT team comes to the rescue. Officers Jim and Brian, along with 2 other team members, descend from a helicopter onto the bank's roof. From there, they carefully make their way down into the building, using a special camera to scout the area below. Meanwhile, some SWAT sharpshooters set up on a nearby building's rooftop. Another group goes in from street level. As this happens, one of the robbers tries to make a getaway in a car, but before he gets far, a sharpshooter takes him down. His partner outside faces the police on foot, but he's soon overpowered by the SWAT team approaching on the ground. Growing increasingly desperate, one of the robbers grabs a woman, pointing his weapon at her, prepared to take a life. Brian, trying to save the situation, fires a shot, passing through the woman's shoulder to hit the robber. Though the robber is taken down, the woman is injured in the process. Jim takes action to neutralize the final robber, bringing the tense standoff to an end. As the dust settles, Jim rushes to help the injured woman and calls for medical assistance. When Brian asks about the woman's condition, Jim's frustration with his decision is evident. Back at the police station, Captain Fuller is not pleased. He's outraged that Jim and Brian acted against orders, and now, because of the injured woman, the department faces a potential lawsuit. Just when it seems like the 2 are going to be fired from the SWAT division, Lieutenant Velasquez steps in. He asks Captain Fuller to let them stay on the team, hoping they can earn back their trust. Fuller compromises, assigning them to cage duty, a low-ranking job of managing and distributing equipment to fellow officers. Feeling disrespected, Brian confronts Fuller, which only worsens the situation, and he leaves in a huff. As Jim considers his options, Fuller offers him an immediate return to SWAT if he agrees to testify against Brian's impulsive actions. While Jim ponders this, Brian decides to resign, feeling betrayed and getting into a heated argument with Jim before storming out. Fast forward 6 months, Jim remains in the gun cage, doing routine tasks for the officers. One day, Sergeant Hondo visits, needing assistance with his modified M4 rifle. Jim, admiring the customization, quickly gets to work. Hondo then meets with Velasquez, discussing the pressure on the L.A.P.D. due to negative media attention, pushing for departmental reforms. Velasquez sees an opportunity for a revamped SWAT team, led by Hondo. He suggests 2 officers for the new unit, TJ and Michael. Hondo agrees and plans to select 3 more members, though Captain Fuller will have the final word. After his encounter with Hondo at work, Jim returns home to a disheartening sight. His partner is packing up, intending to leave. She feels their relationship has suffered since Jim's reassignment from the SWAT team. Jim, saddened and deep in thought, doesn't reciprocate. She quietly departs. The following day, while at work, Jim introduces his colleagues to an innovative device he's been working on. Named the Key to the City, this large hook and chain mechanism is designed to break down barriers during intense standoffs. Hondo strolls in during this demonstration and, recognizing the potential of Jim's invention, commends him. He also takes a moment to check on his modified rifle, thoroughly impressed by Jim's handiwork. A bit later, Hondo takes some officers to the shooting range. TJ, one of the officers, impressively outperforms Hondo in a friendly contest. Hondo, ever the gambler, wagers $200 that Jim can outshoot TJ as the 2 face off. Jim emerges as the winner, much to the delight of Hondo and the astonishment of the others. In another part of Los Angeles, Alex, a French mobster, lands in the city. He narrowly keeps a knife he claims is a cherished family heirloom when questioned by security. After a warm reception by his associates, Alex heads to a local eatery to surprise his uncle. However, the gathering has a dark undertone. Alex is aware of his uncle's deceitful money schemes against their family. Following a meal, Alex swiftly takes his uncle's life using the same cherished knife. Later, as Alex drives alone, the police pull him over for a minor violation. Discovering that the car is connected to his now-deceased uncle, who has an outstanding arrest warrant, the officers detain Alex for identity verification. Despite his attempts to bribe his way out, Alex finds himself behind bars. Meanwhile, Hondo, seeking new SWAT team members, ropes in Jim to assist him for the day. They come across Officer Deke, who's fervently chasing a suspect on foot. Without hesitation, Hondo and Jim jump into the pursuit. After a spirited chase, they manage to capture the suspect, much to Deke's chagrin, who wanted the takedown for himself. Yet the day takes a positive turn for Deke when Hondo extends an invitation to join their team. Hondo and Jim's recruitment drive continues. Their next potential recruit doesn't leave a great impression on Hondo. He's a vegetarian, exceptionally polite, and seems a tad too straight-laced for Hondo's liking. They move on. Their next stop leads them to a metro officer named Chris. Despite repeatedly qualifying for SWAT, Chris has been turned down because of several complaints from detainees. At the local ER, they find Chris's partner guarding a beaten-up suspect, courtesy of Chris. To Hondo's surprise, he discovers that Chris is short for Christina. Hondo pieces it together. Christina has faced bias because she's a woman. Many of her complaints stemmed from male suspects humiliated by being overpowered by a female officer. Admiring her spirit and skill, Hondo promptly offers her a spot on the team. Back at the precinct, Jim's curiosity gets the better of him. He asks Hondo about the purpose of their day together. Hondo turns the tables, asking Jim if he wants to join the SWAT team. Despite Jim's hesitation, thinking Captain Fuller would never agree, Hondo inquires if Jim ever betrayed his friend Brian. Jim firmly denies doing so. Satisfied, Hondo offers him the final slot on the team. However, during a subsequent meeting to finalize the team roster, Captain Fuller predictably objects to Christina and Jim's inclusion. Hondo holds his ground. Fuller, always one for deals, suggests a compromise. If Hondo's chosen team fails the upcoming SWAT trials, Christina will be reassigned and both Jim and Hondo will be let go from the force. Hondo, ever confident, accepts. Training commences, and as team members get acquainted, personal histories intertwine. Jim learns that his ex-partner is actually the sister of Michael, another recruit. Given Michael's impression that Jim wronged his sister, tensions rise between the two men, nearly erupting into a physical altercation, only to be stopped by their fellow teammates. Hondo's rigorous training regimen for the team includes tests in infiltration, armor handling, weaponry, physical endurance, and long-range shooting. Though they face some hiccups initially, their proficiency gradually increases, especially in sharpshooting, demonstrated during a unique sniper session where they aim at cards. One key exercise has the team practice entering empty buildings and safely rescuing hostages, emphasizing teamwork and the importance of minimal collateral damage. The culmination of their training is a final evaluation, a mock hostage situation on an airplane taken over by terrorists, played by fellow officers wielding paintball guns. The objective: regain control of the plane within 8 minutes. Studying the plane's blueprints, Jim identifies an unconventional entry route, a food tray elevator shaft too small for an average man but suitable for Chris. The team maneuvers their vehicle below the aircraft and immediately starts creating an entry point, while one member ascends over the plane's roof, aiming to enter through a window later. As Chris tackles the elevator shaft, the rest of the team stumbles upon a hatch, barely avoiding a trap that's about to go off. Expertly, they neutralize the threat and synchronize their next move. Distributing themselves throughout the plane, they skillfully neutralize all 6 hijackers in a swift operation, ensuring all hostages remain unharmed. TJ, however, sustains an injury, one that in a real scenario could have been deadly. Much to Fuller's dismay, the team establishes a new efficiency benchmark. In the evening, the mood is festive as the team convenes at a cafe run by Deke's family. After indulging in food and banter, most of the team disperses. Chris and Jim, however, choose to extend their evening at Jim's place of choice. Their camaraderie is briefly interrupted by Brian, whose interactions with Jim are filled with tension. As he exits, Brian vents his frustration by shattering a framed photo of himself and Jim. Later in the evening, Jim misinterprets a moment with Chris and makes an advance, which she politely declines. However, she welcomes him to celebrate her daughter's upcoming birthday. Elsewhere, Alex explores legal avenues for his situation, but with no favorable outcomes, he is soon moved to another location. The following day, the team takes a well-deserved break. TJ sets off for a romantic date. Hondo and Velasquez try their hand at golf, while Deke spends quality time with his children. Michael opts for a quiet day with his spouse, and Jim heads to the birthday celebration of Chris's daughter, becoming the life of the party with a water gun in hand. Their relaxation is cut short by an urgent call about a man referring to himself as a Polish hostage, barricading himself within his home and sporadically firing a shotgun. Though the man claims to have rigged explosives at every entrance, Velasquez is skeptical but doesn't want to risk it. Jim suggests using his key to the city invention, which they utilize to swiftly breach the back wall of the residence, neutralizing the threat within moments. Back at the station, a deputy stumbles upon intriguing details about Alex's true identity. Velasquez instructs Hondo's squad to reroute the prison bus transporting Alex. As it turns out, Alex's gang is a step ahead. 2 imposters dressed as policemen use a fake police car to halt the bus, neutralizing the deputies on board and freeing Alex. However, before they can make their getaway, Hondo's team converges, resulting in an intense gunfight. Despite their initial resistance, the criminals are taken down, and a fleeing Alex crashes the stolen police car, leading to his capture. Subsequently, it comes to light that Alex holds a notorious reputation on an international scale, being pursued in numerous countries for heinous crimes including homicide, illicit arms trade, and human trafficking. With media outlets vying for the latest scoop, Alex seizes the opportunity during a televised transfer to the holding cell. Boldly, he announces a staggering $100 million reward for anyone daring enough to orchestrate his escape from custody. This audacious offer, amplified by media, not only validates his immense wealth, but also beckons every criminal element in Los Angeles. This unexpected twist deeply irks Hondo's team, who anticipate the amplified challenges in ensuring Alex's containment. They initially devise a strategy for aerial extraction from the rooftop. However, as the helicopter nears, an unidentified sniper takes a shot, causing the chopper to spiral uncontrollably before meeting a fiery end on the ground below. Reacting swiftly, the team pulls Alex to safety and revisits their strategy. Settling on a new plan, they decide to divert the potential threat by relocating the criminal through a fortified motorcade. The team disperses in vehicles and motorcycles, largely ignoring the eager crowd that seems drawn to Alex. Their path is obstructed by an apparently homeless individual walking leisurely across the road. This seemingly innocent act soon reveals itself as an ambush when gang members spring into action. As multiple trucks ram into the police vehicles, other members of the gang employ firearms and launch smoke grenades. This offensive results in the death of a motorcyclist officer and injures 2 others. When the attackers finally reach their target, they're met with a surprise: a doll in place of Alex. In a strategic move, the real Alex is covertly transported underground through a hidden route, being relocated to inconspicuous vehicles stationed a distance from the main station. All the while, Velasquez oversees the operation from above. For a considerable distance, everything proceeds according to Hondo's plan, even with Alex's continuous jeers and temptations of wealth. However, upon reaching a certain checkpoint, TJ brings the vehicle to an abrupt halt. In a shocking turn, he brandishes his weapon at his comrades, seemingly lured by Alex's financial incentives. The situation escalates when Brian joins TJ, and in the ensuing confrontation, Michael is shot. The 2 traitors, TJ and Brian, then secure Alex and make their escape through the subway, leaving Jim restrained to a car. The remainder of the team soon converge on the scene, freeing Jim and attending to Michael's injuries. Splitting up to maximize their search, Hondo and Jim tail the traitors, while Deke and Sanchez rush towards the subsequent station. Yet to their dismay, they discover that the train never reaches its expected stop. A thorough search reveals the train deserted halfway in the tunnel, its passengers in a state of fear, and no sign of Brian and his gang. An informative tip from the train driver directs them towards a storm drain, which they pursue. This route, unfortunately, severs their communication with police channels. Concurrently, with the revelation of TJ's treachery and Brian's dubious role, Fuller begins to doubt the integrity of the entire team, particularly as they remain out of touch. Learning of an illicitly illuminated runway at Hawthorne Airport, Fuller deduces that's probably Brian's destination and promptly dispatches all on-hand units to the location. In parallel, Hondo's squad relentlessly pursues the culprits through murky sewer tunnels, even having to evade bats along their path. During this chase, Brian installs a hazardous trap utilizing a claymore mine paired with smoke grenades, a scheme that TJ clearly disapproves of. Despite the obscuring smoke, Hondo and his team persist. When Deke is on the brink of activating the perilous trap, Jim intervenes in the nick of time. As Jim neutralizes the claymore, Brian and his crew make their way to the tunnel's exit, ensuring the door is locked securely behind them. When Hondo's group encounters this formidable barricade, Jim ingeniously uses the earlier acquired claymore to breach it. With their communication devices restored, Hondo briefs Fuller about their situation and requests transportation support. However, lingering doubts cause Fuller to command the team to abandon the operation. Disregarding this directive, Hondo's team commandeers a nearby limousine. During their escape, Chris spots a low-altitude jet soaring above the city, leading the team to surmise that this is Brian's true means of extraction for Alex and the airport was merely a ruse. Without hesitation, the team tracks the descending jet, which targets the 6th Street Bridge for its landing. Brian and his accomplices swiftly subdue the panic-stricken jet owners, taking them hostage as they prepare for their imminent getaway. Racing toward the bridge in the limousine, Hondo and his team face a new challenge as 2 adversaries attempt to detonate a roadblock. With unyielding determination, Hondo powers through the potential blast zone. In a desperate bid to halt the plane's escape, police unleash a volley of bullets. When this proves ineffective, Hondo makes a daring move by targeting the plane's landing gear, precipitating its crash. A fierce exchange of gunfire between SWAT and Brian's henchmen ensues, resulting in Chris sustaining a shoulder wound. As Alex tries to exploit the chaos and flee, Deke quickly gives chase, ensuring he's swiftly apprehended. In the turmoil, Brian manages a strategic exit from the compromised plane, using an unfortunate hostage as his shield, and swiftly descends from the bridge. Not far behind, Jim is hot on his trail. Separately, a confrontation unfolds between Hondo and a remorseful TJ, who expresses regret for his treachery and inquires about Michael's condition. Upon learning of Michael's anticipated recovery, a despondent TJ tragically deletes himself. The scene shifts to Jim, who after rappelling into a rail yard finds himself ambushed by Brian, resulting in a knife wound to his hand. The chase resumes amidst the dangers of moving trains, culminating in a brutal hand-to-hand brawl between the two men on the tracks. Their fierce duel is abruptly ended when an oncoming train becomes an unintentional weapon, and Brian meets a swift and violent end. Reuniting on the bridge, the SWAT team receives both commendations and further instructions from Fuller. With Alex still in their custody, their task is far from complete. They must escort him to a federal penitentiary. After ensuring his secure transfer, their brief respite is interrupted by a new call to duty. Despite being well past the end of their shift, the indefatigable team readies themselves for their next challenge. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.